Chapter 4. Sometimes sitting up late at night, I would hear noises and visually hallucinate shadows coming round the door that I believed were dark metaphysical imprints of my abuser. I would see flickering lights around my room that I thought were malevolent spirits from the graveyard, attacking me on some psychic level that fueled my paranoia no end. My frayed nervous system was getting no rest, and if I managed to sleep at all, it would be fitful and thin, just deep enough to have a recurring figure torment me in my dreams, an identityless and balaclava-clad figure, always holding a hyper-shiny dagger to my throat. I discovered about now that one of the problems of going crazy on my own was that I couldn't keep on compulsively ringing my friends at 3 a.m. or calling them out in the middle of the night to come and stay with me. Many of us who've swum around in mental illness share the experience of starting to wear thin the compassion of those close to us. After all, they're the ones who still have to get up in the morning and perform at work. It didn't make any difference to me what time of day or night I tried to reach people, but it began to matter to them. Those 6 months in the bedsit were very dark times, and my thoughts grew increasingly disturbed and morbid. The insanity was becoming all-consuming and was taking many forms. For example, I was hearing voices that appeared to emanate from my cat. I really believed he was speaking to me. My sister looked worried the day I told her that I'd been getting something out of the fridge, and I heard, clear as a bell, a voice from behind saying, "What about me?" I turned around, and there was the cat sitting right there, staring at me intently. Surely this only proved how spiritually connected we were. My sister didn't quite see it like that. I was also constantly interpreting signs from the milieu around me, signals that I believed were trying to show me the way. The signs took many forms, but were things like, if I'd been thinking something and the phone started ringing, that told me that whatever I'd been thinking at that moment that it rang was of some huge significance. Or if I saw a shooting star or a satellite in the night sky, that would mark out whatever thought I was currently having as some important eternal truth. Slogans on t-shirts of passers-by, messages from the TV set, they were all there to point me towards something, like more insanity and bad decisions. My mind was seriously overcrowded, humming with adrenaline, hurting through exhaustion and overwork, and I could literally feel the neurons popping and fizzing, misfiring chaotically to no coherent purpose. Over this time, I obsessed constantly about food, making vain attempts to control something, anything in my life by putting myself on extreme diet regimes. This was in the desperate hope that the insanity would stop if I just ate the right foods. I don't know where I got this idea from, but I went dairy-free, caffeine-free, meat-free, pretty much food-free, really. Once again, my sister had cause for alarm when she discovered that I was subsisting almost solely on tabbouleh, with its bulgur wheat, parsley and olive oil, the purest concoction of ingredients I could achieve. Eating anything at all was becoming increasingly challenging, as everything had the texture of cardboard and would dry up tastelessly in my mouth. I was yet to learn that loss of appetite is a very common effect of depression. I was still a long way off from seeking or getting any sort of diagnosis. Not surprisingly, I became obsessed with the belief that the only way to get all this to stop was to kill myself. That was a very scary place to be. At this point, all I knew about the abuse flashbacks were that they were real. I knew this because I just knew it, deep in my heart, away from all the insanity and chaos that was my mental state. I knew that what had been revealed to me that night was so beyond my ability to dream up. I just knew it was true. My cells knew it was true. My mind was remembering. The revelations had drawn me back into a childlike state, and as that child, I now felt totally vulnerable, stripped bare, exposed and unsafe on a very base inner level. and starting to feel really crazy. Every adult male that I had ever known in my life was now under suspicion. I sought help through counselling, but at first I just couldn't get past this not knowing. And I was so profoundly unwell. I remember the counsellor saying to me that if this had been last century, I would have been diagnosed with hysteria. This didn't help, but she wanted me to carry on with the sessions. She made no particular recommendation, assessment, or arrangement for me to be referred for any further help, even though she was employed by a major hospital in the region. With the hindsight, I can see that thrashing around in the emotional murk of my memories and responses on a weekly basis, without achieving any concurrent relief, was not what I believe now to be the definition of therapeutic. At the time, though, I believed it must be going to help. That's what counsellors were for. And besides, she was the only link I had to any professional assistance whatsoever. So I kept on going, because if I didn't, I knew I was back to square one again and totally on my own with this nightmare. I had to somehow come to terms with the possibility that I may never know the abuser's identity. It was clear that my ability to recover from these revelations would depend on whether or not I could accept this, or whether this big question mark would continue to torment me.